some jerky or something on the way out of the door.
Yeah, I haven't been home yet. The little
can-
bus went from the bus to the basketball game that I coached, and then I'm like, I gotta set an alarm, so I leave on time.
Make sure I'm there.
Yeah.
Did Karen make it back?
Okay,
No.
that would be great.
She's still sick?
So I was in there.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was
Wow.
in there.
It's up
hoping
to
she'd
you.
be there this
January's
afternoon.
fine.
She probably
My
won't be there
contract
tomorrow
says
morning
December,
anyway.
but I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's not till January. January's fine. I wasn't gonna ask for it until
What are you doing? Good?
my whatever date, anniversary date.
I'm glad I'm sitting over here, not that close to her.
I know. Oh, they're just Zoom.
You got some hand sanitizer if you're sitting next to her.
What's that?
Got some hand sanitizer if you're sitting next to her.
I'm not worried about it. All right, at 6 o'clock, I'll ask everyone to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
All right, we got a full house. Steve, we got to get you a wider chair. The last couple of meetings I've been in with you, it just you looked about as uncomfortable as it gets.
No kidding. It's got to be the gun. Yeah, gun belt's too big.
Okay, let the minutes reflect all council members are present with the exception of Eric, who I believe is going
He's
to
coming.
arrive here shortly, so bear with us on that. First item on the agenda, as always, is the citizens forum. If there's any individuals from the community that would like to address the council, now would be the time to do so. I know Facebook will catch up in a little bit, but I believe Josh, would you like to address the council at this time?
I can, I think,
No, I'm on the agenda.
oh, you're on the agenda, okay. For those of you guys that don't know me, my name's Josh Bister. My family and I moved here about a year and a half ago. First off, I want to thank you guys for what you guys do for our community. I know sometimes it's a thankless job. I know you guys put in a lot. Start a conversation. I'm not looking for any answers tonight or even this year, but one thing that our family has to deal with has to do with snow removal around our place. Our daughter is 5 years old. She's got cerebral palsy, and we've already been affected with that little bit of snow that we got this year. Our driveway was clear, and we were able to leave. I got a text later that day, and somebody had cleared the drift that was in front of our house, blocked my wife out of the driveway, and we transport our daughter now by a wheelchair. So she was left with leaving our daughter in the car unattended while she either had to wait for somebody to help her get the driveway cleared out. So I don't know what the right answer is. I know that there's a lot of individuals in this town, but it got me to thinking. It's not just about me, but other people. I cleared snow last year for individuals that are bound by a wheelchair. I cleared their driveway. They'd call me 3 hours later, and I'd have to come back and clear it again. It's not the fact that your vehicle can't get through. When you're in a wheelchair, you can't even get through the snow as well. So I don't know what the answer is, but I just wanted to start a conversation. I'd be happy to help with that conversation. My first initial thoughts are, somebody's got a handicap license plate. Maybe they're able to apply for something where the city, changes the direction they plow the snow. And maybe that application costs something, because I know that there's going to be some extra man hours, maybe some extra equipment or something. So I don't really know what the answer is, but it really causes us to start thinking of, what's going to happen, if there's a bunch of snow, what do we do to get our child into the house? I don't know where we go from here with that. Just wanted to go through the process and start the conversation.
I think the easiest thing would be to do Public Works Committee meets, or even the Public Safety Committee meets once a month. Josh, if you'd like, we can send you the dates of those meetings. And you can attend and obviously voice your concerns, and maybe we can come up with some ideas. Again, it's not every house in Ada. I know everyone would like their house double plowed out, but you know, in the grand scheme of things with our budget and man hours and equipment, it's just not possible. But maybe for those special scenarios, there is a
Well,
out somewhere.
I think that's what it got me thinking about that, is it's like, you know, I think we just gotta realize who we're serving too. If there are some instances where those houses need to be marked in some way, I mean, because I don't, it's gonna be the point where my wife won't be able to carry our child at some point over a snow bank, so what do we do, you know, and she's nonverbal, so do we leave her in a vehicle unattended for an hour while she shuffles down the driveway? I don't know if that's the right decision.
No, absolutely not. You know, unless the council has any other ideas, I think that's a place to start.
That's what the committees are
That's
for.
what I expect.
That's what the
Yeah,
committees are for.
yeah, well, that's what I'll do, Josh. I'll talk with both Brian and Steve. We'll get our next meetings, and I'll shoot you a message, and then come up with something. I mean, at least get the conversation
Yeah,
rolling.
for sure, this conversation.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
awesome. Thanks, Josh. Any? Let's see. Anything on Facebook? Okay, any other individuals from the community that would like to address the council that aren't on the agenda? Okay. Hearing none, let's move on to the consent agenda. Letters B and C. Letter B, the prepaid checks in the amount of $468,232.38. Again, 468,232.38. And then the accounts payable for letter C is $34,081.57. Again, 34,81.57. I need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Okay, a motion from Casey and a second from Sean. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, moving on to the agenda, we're gonna have a couple changes here. First and foremost, we're gonna, under presentations, we're gonna get rid of letter B. We're gonna move that to January, so you can cross that out. Letter D is gonna get moved up to first. We'll talk about the school resource officer first. They got other things to do this evening. Under mayor's report, we're gonna add number 2. Okay, so this will replace actually letter E, since we got rid of B. Will be a donation request from St. Joseph's. So we'll still have 5 items under presentations. Mayor's report number 2, council members meeting. And then number 3, administrative review for Ashley. If you go to the second page, under old business, we're gonna table THC license until January. Any more additions or subtractions? Hearing none, I need a motion.
So moved.
Okay. We got a motion from Sean, a second from Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Scott Erickson. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay. First item of business is the school resource officer.
All right,
Okay.
first off, thanks for letting us be here tonight. School resource officer is something we've talked about at school for quite some time now, between Steve, Principal Carlson, Principal Triplett, and myself, and it's kind of met a head-on here this year. I think there was a 3-week stretch this year already where we had law enforcement at school every single day for various reasons, whether it was city or county, for, like I said, for things going on. We've had a lot of vape issues in the past. We have the vape detectors in there, but we've seen an uptick in marijuana vapes this year. First time we've been seeing them. We've seen people selling marijuana vapes in the school. We're good to bring law enforcement for. We've had some physical altercations happen within school where parents are wanting to press charges or we need law enforcement there at times. And then had situations this year too where we've had illicit photographs, being sent back and forth where law enforcement's had to come in and do investigations and take care of things. Like I said, there's a lot of different things happening, but there's a lot of needs for a school resource officer kind of at the school to be able to go through camera footage, do interviews, do a lot of these things. So it's already taking a lot of manpower from what you guys have as a department. So like I said, we're using your department quite a bit. So what we're looking to do is get a school resource officer in our building. We're looking for kind of like a half-time position there. So we're proposing that we get the school resource officer for half the time. You guys will then have another police officer on force for half the time. The cost of the agreement would also reflect that. Like I said, other than handling things after the fact, we're also going to be free. Kind of got to get ahead of things here in the school where we can get them down in the elementary, build up those relationships. They can do some presentations on various things, some education for our students, a lot of different various things like that. Like I said, we're somewhat talked about for a while now. So this year it's really meant come kind of head on. So we're looking for you guys to approve that. It would be a new position for you guys. We understand it may not be easy to hire someone right away. As a school, as soon as if you guys were to approve this, we would then approve an MOU along with it, with everything. And as soon as you would be able to hire and get trained, we'd be more than happy to have them start, whether that be right away this spring, whether that starts next school year, anything of that nature. We're more than open to looking at. So that's kind of where we're coming from. Like I said, it's been a growing need. We don't want to see things that keep escalating, getting further and further. I feel having a trained resource officer in the school, times wouldn't be the same every single day. We have safety concerns. We've heard, seen other things happen at our schools. Those times would vary when they're in the school, so it's not predictable for people as well. That's kind of what we're looking for along the way there. Steve, anything else to add from your end to that?
No, there's, obviously you guys know, I mean, I've talked and Ozzy about it with the majority of you at times here and there, or on, kaleidoscope. You guys understand, the school's position on it. The difficult thing that we're gonna face is trying to hire somebody in today's environment. But if it's something that the council approves, for the 2024 budget, it would take months before we get somebody to start. So if it's something that's approved, I would post a position right away, to start the process. I mean, if it's something that doesn't happen until, like Doug said, until, a couple months from now, and so be it, we'll implement it then. That's kind of the understanding that the school has. But there's been a massive amount of, and we're this year, last year, actually, is when a lot of this stuff started in the schools. And I don't know if it's due to COVID, kids and stuff like that, but I mean, the amount of things that we're seeing in school we've never had to deal with before. Whether it's, you might get an assault once or twice a school year, now we're having one or two a week, it seems like at times. And we're playing catch up to what we're doing. We're not ahead of the game at all.
Steve, can you explain a little bit about not just what the resource officer would do there, but the programs that you and Liz have put together for some of the first violators and things like that the school resource officer would also do, so they can understand?
When Liz came, she started a diversion program. So what diversion is normally in the past, if you were picked up for a juvenile offense such as possession of alcohol, possession of tobacco, things like that, you just went right to court, and a judge sat there and gave you probation, fine amount, whatever, and then you were at the mercy of the court. What we started in the county was a program, like I said, called diversion. But diversion is a diverts you, clever name, right, from having to go to court, and we handle it with a panel. That panel meets every other week. We add the kids that are being caught with the vape pens, alcohol offenses, things like that. The assault people, they have the option to go to diversion. If they want to argue their case in court, they can certainly do that. But when we go to diversion, like I said, we meet as a panel. That panel, normally it starts at 2:30 and it ends at 4 o'clock. And I sit on that panel, so from 2:30 to 4 o'clock, we're tied up. And we're back to the kids that are in diversion. And it's an extremely time-consuming thing for me to have to do on top of all the other duties that are going on. Having a school resource position would help in that implementation outside of that program, that they can keep tabs on the people that are in diversion. We've seen a lot of success with it. I know the school has, but one of the major issues that we're dealing with at the school, which is kind of I don't want to say a new thing, but the amount of people that are in violation of this truancy.
I was just gonna mention that as well.
Okay,
And
I'm gonna stop you guys real quick.
We have to do truth and taxation at 6:15.
It's inopportune, I know, just bear with us.
Basically, we have to allow anyone who would like to discuss the levy at this point to talk about the levy.
I was
I
gonna
don't think
warn you, and
anyone's
then I
here.
completely forgot. We'll give it a minute.
This was already set at the last meeting,
No,
so it has to be.
that's fine.
Okay.
Forget where you're at, though, Steve. I know I would.
Maybe in the meantime, council members, if you guys wanna open up that email that Ashley sent you with the school resource officer
It lists
and the
the-
prices and stuff, just as, so when we get back to this conversation, we can progress in a timely manner.
It's on the changes from preliminary budget document. I'll go over them, Pat, so you can have them.
Okay, hearing none, seeing none. Steve, I apologize, continue.
So, that's all right. So, like I was saying, one of the things that we've seen, and this kind of started last year, was a major increase in truancy. There's, again, we've talked at school, you can come up with a reason why we've seen such a massive increase in it. But again, truancy is something that gets turned over to the diversion program. But us trying to track kids down, welfare checks on them, and stuff, why they're not attending school, ends up becoming another time-consuming thing. Mr. Cook, if you want to.
Yeah, no, and this isn't just a here problem. When I talk to people around the state, truancy is a big issue. One thing I really appreciate from our local law enforcement is the fact that they're active in this. When we sit in a truancy meeting and we have a police officer there, it gets home a lot harder with those parents that this is a big deal, that you're not coming to school. There's other counties, other schools where they're having trouble, they get it to the attorney, it kind of goes away from there, or, police officers follow up with something, kind of goes away. I think honestly, this county and this city have done a pretty good job here recently of stepping in. We really do appreciate that, but once again, that does take man-hours, that does take effort, and that would be something us school resource officers could also help out with in those truancy meetings.
You wanna maybe Ashley go through?
Yeah, so, if you're looking at 50/50, which the schools approached us with, I did give you guys the cost, so, for 2024 only, obviously with COLA increases and things like that, things change, but, our portion of 50% would be $44,907. So that includes salaries, or FICA, para, HSA contributions, insurance benefits, life and disability, and with this position, we hope obviously no overtime. I didn't include overtime in there. But we did talk about how we would also utilize this person in the summer when it's not during school hours. Do you wanna
Right, so
kind
this
of go over
person
that
would
too?
kind of have to be on a flex schedule, so, in the summertime, obviously when school's there, like, we're in control, but the school also mandates times that they want that person there, when school's no longer in session. If I was to take vacation, or Bruce was to take vacation in the summertime, we can flex this person's schedule into those hours. So it should cut down drastically on overtime in the summer months. And I don't have the rough numbers, or the hard numbers, excuse me, I just have rough numbers, and after adding up Bruce's and my vacation last year, during the summer months, it was like just over 10 days
John and I, when we were in the meeting, we did discuss like possibly trying to find a part-time, but with the officers and what's out there today, you're not gonna find a part-time, someone that just wants to work the winter months. Cause obviously if we did part-time, we could cut a lot of these costs. So that's another reason why we're doing full-time or looking for full-time. This officer would be 100% under the city. Steve would be his department head. Correct? I mean, it would be
Yep.
our say, school if they had issues or whatever would turn to Steve on that. Questions?
Well, the other,
Yeah.
couple other things we had, in our discussions when we met at the school were, Steve, you already have an officer obviously in mind that's willing and
Yep.
able to do this. And it's one of our current staffs, doesn't really matter who it is. The second question would be then, okay, how fast can we replace this? And I think that's the elephant in the room question is, can we replace it next month and get it initiated right away, or is this a next school year issue? We don't know, until we list it. But again, I think that's how we came back to the conclusion of doing it full-time. Obviously, that's a little bit more appealing throughout the state and throughout the area. What else am I missing from our meeting? Obviously, there's a need. You won't find anybody in Ada or at this table that'll disagree with that. I think we're all on the same page there. I think it was kind of eye-opening for Ashley and I to realize how much time Steve and his police officers have been there, over the last month. I think everybody would be a little surprised on that, but I think we're all on the same page.
And like, to your point, Mayor, it's like it's surprising to us. It's surprising to the school how much we have to be out there. It's surprising to us that how much time we have to dedicate to being out there as well. One of the other things that we discussed was the funding of it with the school, the 50-50 split on it. Ultimately, our goal is to sign a 2 to 3 year contract with this. And if it's something that ends up being a success and we see, and the school sees, that this is going in the right direction, the school's getting what they want, the city's getting what we want out of it, that this becomes a full-time position on the school. And obviously that's a different funding, scenario later, but it's something that we all have time to plan and work at, so, that's something else to consider for looking long term.
I guess from my point of view on it, I'm looking at it more so the benefit that the school gets is obviously immensely. You guys are the one that are coming to us with it. I struggle a little bit on the financial side of the Ada taxpayer, basically subsidizing the whole school district from that point of view. Obviously, you talked about 4 hours on, 4 hours on that, but that 4 hours that he's back in the city is going to be spent also investigating some of the stuff that's going on at the school. That's still time that's getting diverted to the school. It's not getting diverted to the city. During the school merger, it was very emphasized that it's Ada Board West. West includes Halstead, Hendrum, Shelley. So did you approach those municipalities about funding as well, or?
This kind of our conversation's been.
Yep. So, like I said, I struggle. I think there's a great need for it. Don't get me wrong. I think we'll do something here, but I just really struggle with the 50-50 split on it as of right now.
And your struggle with the 50-50 split is because the county sending people
So,
to Ada.
correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, not in the education business, but each student is basically allotted so many tax dollars, correct? For each student that comes.
We want to get into school.
Yeah.
finance. We're gonna make
This would be a whole longer
here,
deal, but in the short of it, the taxpayers are already paying the same for the students, whatnot.
Yeah, the vast majority comes from state aid
Yep.
as far as students go. There's a little bit that comes from local levy. In the end, about 78% of the school budget comes from state aid.
Yep.
I mean, granted, some of that comes from here, but a lot of other parts of the state. And then overall, school levy budget's about 15%.
Sure.
And other randoms for that.
Yeah. Like I said, that's my only concern is just the Ada taxpayers subsidizing for the rest of the district, be that the other municipalities or the county. I don't know if that looks like a 25-75, a 60-40. I mean, we can talk about that, but I still think we should figure out something, obviously, with our budget. We also gotta remember too, we gotta figure out our levy at this meeting. So there's a difference between the 3 and 5, and that has to be looked at, cause this is another line item to be added in there.
That is something that we discussed when we had that meeting was, you know, that the good or bad, I guess you would say, like, we are the county seat and everybody, well, not everybody else who saw the school, we said in the county, but I mean, this is kind of the cross that we bear, being the go-to place, right? So, I mean, that's something that we can discuss at a later point, I mean, when we finalize everything. I don't know how this works, Mr. Mayor, like,
Well,
can the council approve a sum?
we'll have this will be a good discussion, but the rest of the council, they won't find this any surprise, but at our meeting, I did play devil's advocate, and that was one of my questions, is why is the city of Ada footing the whole bill on this thing?
I think that they would understand. I don't think that'd be
Yeah,
shocking.
you guys would understand. Because there are kids coming from every side of the county, east, west, north, south. And the city and our taxpayers get hit with a big bill for a lot of the things just because we are the county seat, right, wrong, or indifferent. We are the biggest populous city in the entire county, and we have the amenities and the staff and everything else. Doesn't mean we should pay more, yes, but to what extent? It's probably not 50-50. I had a discussion with a council member today that brought up the same concerns, and I voiced the same concerns at our meeting with the school staff. The problem is for this year, and this is why I would suggest not going with a 2 or 3 year contract. If we want to get this going right away, I think, yes, you guys should put your money where your mouth is, and let's make it happen, whatever that percentage is, whether it's 75-25, 65-35. But I think moving forward to next year, I think the county does need to pay for this, especially when the other school district, the only other school district in the county, has said that they'll be shut down in 10 years. Words from their superintendent, not from me. The West Side already doesn't have one. So I think there is some contributions that could be involved from the other cities throughout the community or throughout the county, where the city of Ada isn't, fitting the whole burden of it. Right now, I don't know if there is, because they're all in the same process we are. We're at a council meeting where tonight we're going to decide whether it's 3, 5, or 1% levy, and
Or 5.
yeah, or 5. Yeah. You didn't laugh at that earlier. So I mean, it's too late in the season for that. We can adjust it. We can handle it because of the last email that Ashley sent out. The interest that we accrued on these CDs since the middle of the year is almost $80,000.
So,
Doesn't mean we should just give it away,
no.
as we've
I
talked.
can say from a school perspective, if we were footing 60% of the bill on that, we would probably expect them 60% of the time.
Yeah.
When it comes to that perspective, if it's not gonna be a 50-50 split, from a school perspective, we would definitely expect them more than 50% of the time to be our school resource officer.
I guess
That's why when you guys are talking, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense to me.
That would make sense too, but then going back to the first part there, also if the officer is sitting there investigating after those 4 hours, 5 hours, what's up, say you have to go over to Halsted to visit with somebody's, with parents, truancy issues, that's also on the city's time then as well, so.
We could turn that over to the county. The county, if it's been a Halsted Hendrum issue,
Yep.
the county has dealt with some of that too.
And-
That could be where the school resource officer would bring in the county, the sheriff's office at that time, and then they could then take an issue if it's over there. So we have done that. It hasn't been just City of Ada where we've had issues, maybe start the school or come to the school from outside.
Sure.
as well.
I just use that as an example. Obviously, it could be investigating something with somebody who is a resident of town.
I totally got it.
So,
I guess I'd just like to bring up just a couple things. One is that when you talked about that diversion program, so I've had experience working with diversion programs in the past, and those are fantastic from a standpoint of keeping kids out of juvenile, out of the court system, tying up resources. It does take time. It's time consuming like crazy. But it also affords people the opportunity to, we all make mistakes, you know, and it gives them that opportunity to work some of that off. A lot of it's community service, whatnot. And for you guys to be doing that, I think is fantastic. I think it's a good, proactive thing. You're also building relations with a number of different stakeholders that you wouldn't normally get because it just gets either sent or forgotten. I mean, that's reality. And having somebody, having a school resource officer in the school, I think, again, experience-wise, spending enough time in the school in a number of different roles, I think is invaluable. So I just want to throw that out there as some of the stuff is very proactive.
It also takes a lot of time.
And also the investigative part of that. I mean, you know, we talked about how, you know, it's more than just telling somebody to get to school. You got to figure out how you're going to get to school. You know, and so there's a lot of time, there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of investigative, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. I just appreciate it.
The diversion programs like the intense things here. When we first initially meet with a lot of these kids, they sit there like this. Their heads are down. They don't make any eye contact. They, talking to their shirts. By the second, third meeting, they're engaging us the same way that we're talking right now.
Who's all at these meetings, diversion meetings?
Mm-hmm.
Just
Juvenile probation, the sheriff, the Twin Valley chief, the county attorney, normally a social worker, and then both counselors from East and our school. And then if we have specific individuals that we need to staff with, we will invite, if it's an elementary student, we'll invite Principal Triplett, or if it's in the high school side or the middle school side, we'll have Principal Carlson.
So just doing some rough figuring. Obviously, we're going to be talking about this levy in a little bit. I'm going to be probably leaning on the heavier side, 3 versus the 5, but we're talking about a $9,000 difference, correct?
Correct.
So if you go and you look at 50-50 versus 60-40, it's almost a wash. So I think if you're not going to go and do if you're going to do the 50-50, you almost have to look at doing the 5% to cover that difference there. If the push is for 3%, the 60-40 looks.
The push is for 3%.
It's gonna be 3%.
I hope it's 3% when we get to that conversation.
Again, we can't start nickel and diming over a few $1,000s on this scenario and this situation. We got to take care of this stuff and.
True, but it's also our
it's
responsibility to the taxpayers to do what's right.
Exactly,
So-
but again, you can't be looking at turning this down because a couple $1,000. That doesn't make sense. And
But that couple
and-
$1,000s has to come from somewhere in the budget.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I don't think anybody's talking about turning
No,
it down.
yeah,
No,
nobody's gonna
I don't
turn it
think,
down.
no,
I
I
don't
can see the head nods, so.
All right.
So I think what we need to do at this point is somebody make a proposal of what they think. What do you think, John? Or,
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, and I want you guys to go off of flat
So-
90,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay.
you were
Even
even
number.
90.
so if you guys, and also, can you guys bring up the page I was talking about with the information on it? And then scroll down to the revenue surplus, just so you guys understand. So if we were to do this with the resource, in the budget you guys have in front of you, this resource officer is in it.
Is in it,
And then
yep.
3%
At
and then a
3%.
5%.
Correct, yep.
I have them both in there.
Yep.
Okay, so for a 3%, our surplus is still gonna be $149,306. To compare to what we had last year, our surplus was $53,150. So, we're still sitting almost $100,000 more of a surplus than we are last year at a 3%. A 5%, we're sitting at $157,000. Now, this is a special year because of the moving around our funds we did in our CDs and things like that behind the scenes, doing our sweep account. So 80 grand of that we're budgeting on top of. Plus we got almost another 100 grand But,
which might not be there.
Which it won't, it fluctuates every year,
Yeah,
and
it
that's
fluctuates
why
every
I
year.
would
But-
stress 1 year.
yeah, but, you know, if this is something that works, I mean, maybe there's potential to do 50-50 this year, you know, 60-40 next year, or get more cities involved in it. Maybe we just need to start somewhere and get it
My
moving.
suggestion is, let's start with the 50-50. I know, I understand it's a numbers thing, but if we're doing a 1-year contract on it, let's do it 50-50, so that the implementation of that person into the school is at a slower rate, so he can understand, get more of the school's needs, but then also the time that it's taking with diversion now is we're adding more and more to it. But there's so many new things that are happening right now that the time would be best spent, in my opinion, at 50-50.
So, do you think that we're gonna be able to hire somebody on a 1-year contract? Because if we don't move forward past a year to hire someone,
And we're getting four full-time officers.
not to put like another wrench in this, but.
But, okay, why would there be a reason we wouldn't continue doing it after 1 year?
I'm just saying,
I'm just
would
saying.
somebody be
You're-
comfortable enough, an officer, to move here and sign a
No, I
1-year
think
contract?
what you're talking about 1 year would be.
The-
You're talking about
funding
one-
part of it.
right.
In
Okay.
year 2 and 3, right?
The ratio of it, right, of the 50-50 to
Yeah,
change
but
to if it's,
the ratio would be negotiated regardless, but, you know, what if we lose our funding from the state? What if the CD, interest rates, just plummet? The reason why we have that 80,000 is because the interest rates are at all-time high.
sure.
What if the feds finally come back down to earth and think about us in northern Minnesota? It could happen. It's probably not gonna, but I mean, we can't play the one.
And we'll have
Well, then I
raise
think that's
levy.
probably something.
Then we gotta raise the levy to 10%. Guess
Yeah.
it's not gonna like that.
But I think that's something that would probably be able to be addressed with the school and their budget and the amount.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So like I
absolutely.
said, this is something to get us in year 2 or 3 years, that the implementation of it, what the school wants, what the city wants out of it, and basically make it a full-time position in 2 to 3 years.
Right.
Which obviously, if it's a full-time position, a bigger chunk would come from school, but this is allowing them to budget for a position on their side as well. Right.
I mean, you hope long-term it becomes, you know, obviously, hopefully the problems get lowered, you know, but obviously, I think you're right. I mean, a person in the school and that presence, like I said, it can really give a benefit for everybody, you know, and like I said, as that role changes, but I think, like I said, I think it's still gonna be a long-term thing, so.
Can we word the motion into where this is revisited 1 year from now and that contract is renegotiated with the rate of the city?
Absolutely.
I think an MOU with the school, it'd be an MOU with the school. Well, the sample one we have right now is every March it's renegotiated anyways.
Yep.
So, I mean, every single year we could look at it.
Sure. Yeah.
Does that-
Basically, I would want you guys to approve the cost of it, and then proceed to move forward with hiring.
Yep.
Is that number enough, you think? I mean,
I have to refer
Yes,
to the
so
professional.
I would, so
Okay.
we have, it's based on union contracts, I'm a first year hire.
Okay.
And I actually did a second year hire, so it's a little bit higher than the initial start date, just because of the officer comes in with more experience, so it's essentially might be a couple grand higher than what we
But
would.
now-
This is based on union contracts.
Sure,
what
okay,
2020
all right. I mean.
Only caution to that, like the initial figures, if we have somebody that's got 5 years of experience that's coming from another agency.
Yeah, what do you-
We'd have to start them higher up. I mean, it appears that this would cover,
I did the second year.
yeah, so.
Okay, so that you feel good about, because yeah, I guess somebody with experience would be great, I suppose,
Yeah.
really, I mean. Okay.
I think
Yes, ma'am.
You guys have any other questions for me?
No, I think.
I'd make a
Like I said-
motion then that we go forward with, the number that Ashley would like to use for a price, I guess, and obviously to be revisited, within a time frame that school and we're comfortable with. On a just, price,
At what percentage?
50/50.
Okay, I got a motion.
I'll second that.
A motion from Mike and a second from Eric. 50/50. Usually, let's just say, we talked about $90 budgeted price for a school resource officer. Further discussion, or I will call the vote.
You talking about looking at this every year, Mike, or what?
Well, that's what we talked about here, yeah.
Yeah, at
Obviously,
least
it'll
every
get
year.
It'll get reviewed by their board and. us,
Exactly, yeah.
our council.
And they agreed MOU, we would say we'd have in there a specific date where we look at what
Right.
what the price will be for next year.
Right.
Obviously, we'll need to know if it's a big increase in one year versus what the percentage.
I don't think I should.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions, comments, concerns?
Call the question.
Okay, I'm gonna do it just by roll call vote, even though I don't have to, but I can. Mike?
Aye.
Scott? Eric?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Sean?
I am gonna abstain actually, cause I work there.
Casey?
Nay.
Kim?
Aye.
All right, by council vote with Sean Rue abstaining based on employment, city council approves 50/50 split. So Ashley and I will get in contact with you tomorrow.
Finalize the MOU so I can bring it to my board next month.
Okay, yeah, we'll, Ashley and I will be in contact with you.
Yep. Appreciate it, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, all right. Mike Burke, Harley Valley donation request.
Does it get easier now?
We,
Should be an easy one.
seriously, you guys were ahead, but then Steve had other stuff going on and so.
There is, I did, put a donation request on your, file there. But I just wanna go on record saying that, this event is for the HOV Recreational Foundation, which leases the golf course. That's kind of a different relationship, but, we're actually a nonprofit, which means that, we're able to ask for funds from various people. If people give to us, they can, use that as a tax deduction. Our mission and our goal, as it kind of is in the letter there, a good segue because the school talks about all the issues with children, with kids. Our mission is to provide free recreational opportunity to those kids. We gave away this summer, hundreds and hundreds of rounds of golf to those young kids. If you were out there on any given day, you would see 20 kids out there playing golf for free. So it is our fundraiser. We need to raise funds to continue to offer that to the kids. We also employ as many young people that are willing to apply for a job and want a job. This last summer we had four kids that did part-time work around the busy schedule. So we are offering employment for those young kids as well. So the request is that I'm asking for $1,000 donation from the gaming fund or whatever that is. And I'll leave it at that, unless you have any questions.
What's in
It's
this?
current fund after last month.
You guys, right now, we currently got a check of $1,800 for November. That's all we have. Obviously, we don't have December yet, that we came in. We do have 3 other donation requests on here as well. I'm assuming December is usually our highest amount of gambling funds, just because December is a month that everyone's up and so my goal is to have at least $3,000 by the end of the
End of the year, you mean, end of
Sorry.
December?
Well,
Oh,
end of
it's
this
fine. Oh,
month.
yeah, I suppose
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
December, never mind, I'm,
Yeah.
yeah.
We won't get the check for December until early January.
Oh,
so
sure.
I won't know, but we used all of what we previously had, so $1,800 is all we have.
I need a motion. I'm not sure if we can give the whole 1,000 then, just because of that. I'd like to.
It doesn't sound like a motion.
So like, you know, Boy Scouts, I took mine off the.
Yeah,
Okay.
you took
Yeah.
yours off, so I have 1,
Oh.
2, 3, 4 still.
That's still, yeah.
Mike, would you wanna do 500 now and come back in January and ask for 500?
I would make the donation request of $500.
Okay, second. Motion from Casey and a second from Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
You don't have to come back.
Okay.
No, you don't.
Same speech.
If you wanna come see us, you're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Thanks,
Ditto.
Mike.
Thank you.
Before we go any further, I'll just make a comment that this is the product of the spending spree that you guys have gone on the last 2 months.
Oh, yes, Dad.
Just
Oh,
saying.
boy, here we go, Dad, yep.
Just saying. Okay, Luke Delbert, I see you in the back corner. You can just come forward and just, introduce yourself and tell us what you're looking for.
Hi, I'm Luke Gilbert. I was requesting $500 for my Eagle Scout project. If you want, I can make a little handout thing of kind of what it is.
Perfect, yeah.
We could share if you don't have enough. Yeah.
So the front cover page is a picture of what it looks like now. And then if you flip it, there's 2 like drawing sketches that I made. One is the current floor plan, and the second is proposed plan. And
Start with the same.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
And this is part of your Eagle Scout project, right, Luke?
yep.
Perfect, okay.
Luke, what are you looking for?
500.
500. I'd like to make the motion to approve $500 donation to Luke.
Okay, I got a motion from Casey and a second from Eric, I believe.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. There we go, that was easy.
Thank you.
So Pat, this will go to the Eagle Scouts, right? Again, like we did with the rest, okay. Or be written out to the Eagle Scouts.
Yeah, no, it would go to the troop.
Or that's what I meant, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Not
the check goes to the troop,
Yeah.
but because his expenses come through the
Yeah.
troop pay for.
Sure, I guess that's what I checked.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Luke.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, St. Joseph's. Carol, you're up now.
Hey, that's
Maybe
me.
even
Hi.
two.
Okay,
Carol
so-
White.
You want your letter?
No, you can
Okay,
have it.
I got a letter from Carol,
Okay.
just an FYI.
Last year, we approached, the Friends of St. Joseph's approached for funds for a community project. We are a ministry from our parish, however, once a year, during Advent, we do a community project. Last year, we did, a beautiful gift basket to the Leland Home residents. They were so grateful, and we are so grateful for your gift. This year, we are doing a pizza party at the DAC on December 19th. The clients at the DAC are beautiful community members that, when I worked at RDO, they cleaned and had such a great time with them. So we're going to do a pizza party with them, and we're also going to do a gift for each one. We're asking for $250. We will match the $250 for the pizza, and it gets to be a lot, so more than my parish and my district can take on. So that's what our pledge is for children.
I'll make that
Cool.
motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Sean,
Second.
a second from Casey, and $250. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Go for it.
Very much.
Thank you.
Grateful for you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.
So, the good thing is, we only got one left, and you guys left 550, and they're only asking 500.
We have a balance, we have a
Hey,
balance.
We can give Mike another 50.
Better than last month.
Ask for more.
Yeah, you should.
At least 50.
If only the rest of the budget didn't look this smooth.
Yeah, right.
All right, Brandon, we're running out of room, but you're up, buddy.
No, that's fine. I'll ask for money a little later.
We don't
Yours aren't
no
that
more
small.
money. We're done.
We got 550 for you.
Thanks for the
Only
Christmas gift, too.
Oh, no problem. Merry Christmas. Hopefully it's enough to go around, but I probably should have brought.
Yeah.
I probably should have stole a couple more boxes.
Only gonna go around.
Okay. Got two things for you guys tonight. Not a whole lot. One, with the sewer project, last month on the phone I had said that we're waiting for two little sewer, say, liner spots that contractors having a hard time getting someone scheduled out to come out and do. They're still having that struggle. The final completion date of the project is December 1. It's December 5 today, so we're past that. They did submit an extension request on November 28th due to lack of labor, having a hard time getting people scheduled out. They're going to subcontract it out. However, they asked for 6 months, which I'm not obliged to do. Talked to the contractor about it. They're going to try to get someone in here sooner. At this point, I don't want to entertain a request until we have an actual schedule and plan. So at this point, they are past the final completion date of their contract. We have had some changeovers along the way that we did not give additional time. They did not ask additional time. They did get done earlier than substantial completion. So I think once we get that schedule squared away and a game plan, we can talk about how we want to close that out. So when contractor's late, there's something called liquidated damages that you can charge on the contract. It's your right per the contract, and it basically it's the hammer you guys have if the contractor doesn't get done in time. There's really no real damages here at this point yet. We're not really spending any additional time. Everything's functioning as intended. Now, a 6 months extension, I don't believe is warranted at all. And so when I get more information from them, I'll bring it to you guys, and then we can have kind of a discussion on how we want to finish it. But they did ask for an extension. They are past completion date. It's these two items that they have left, and I'm waiting for more information. So, say more of an update. I don't have any action items, but I want to make you guys aware of what's going on. The project is functioning just fine at this point. It's kind of cleanup stuff, but being as it's a reline portion, specialized contractor has to come in. That's what they're saying is the difficulty.
Does the weather play an issue in that? Like,
It
Can they do that in January?
It can. They had said the weather thing, and it's really tough when it's 50 degrees in December to give an extension due to weather.
Yeah.
And so there's certain things that they can. If it's minus 20 outside, no one's really doing anything. But there's things they can do to, if it's below ideal, there are certain things that they can do. So that's where my big push when I talked to them earlier this week was, hey guys, we got like 2 more good weeks here. Can you get someone in? And so that's what I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay, so the product's fine when it's that cold, is what you're saying. You know what I mean?
There's
still do its job.
Yes, there's more things they can do, and there obviously comes a point, right? If it's last winter, we probably want to hold off until spring.
Right.
But if it's looking like it is now, that's where I'm looking for them to provide a plan that we can weigh in on instead of force. Because if we force them to go out there and it's hey, it doesn't. But yeah, on a day like today, they can go and do it definitely. So their issue is they just don't have anyone that can go out and do it at this point. So, any questions about that? Again, when I get a plan, I'll kick it to you guys. It'll probably be something we'll discuss at Public Works Committee once we kind of get to that point. Any questions? Okay, and then I am coming to you asking for $2,000 for our invoice. It's part of our original budget. We're still on budget. It's just kind of, invoicing this thing out to the end.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Okay, the motion from Casey.
Second.
Second from Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, and then the second thing would be the LRIP application for West Main Avenue. We've got that completed, and if it didn't get submitted today, you would've got an email on it. It'll get submitted tomorrow. So, nothing, we were just finishing stuff up today on it, so they're due, end of this week or early next, and just an update that it's good to go.
Perfect.
Anything else for me?
Should be good.
Okay, thanks guys.
Sam.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Brandon.
Merry Christmas to you all, thank you.
Okay, moving on to department head and committee, mayor's report. Committees, this will be the last month I'll say it. I've reached out to 2 of the 3 department heads. I gotta reach out to the third one still. In January, I will name my committee appointments for 2024. I've talked to all of you, or you've talked to Ashley and expressed your interest and wishes, so to speak. So if anyone's got any further questions, comments, concerns going into next year as far as what committee you want to be on, just reach out to me. You all have my number. So if there's any individuals from the community that would like to be on one of the committees, do the same. I'm pretty readily available. So second item, council member meeting. Ashley and I talked last week or 2 weeks ago. We want to get together with each council member individually before the end of the year and short 10-15 minute meeting and just have a discussion, kind of get some input moving forward to next year, kind of see where everyone's at, just kind of have a maybe a little one-on-one discussion just to see if there's anything that we need to address, if there's any ordinances that need to be maybe put towards the front of the list or anything like that. So Ashley will reach out to you guys in the next couple days or so when she's feeling better, just to set up some time. Again, 10-15 minute conversation, nothing real pressing, just to make sure we're all on the same page. And then the last item, Ashley's anniversary date is this month, so we are, by her contract, actually obligated to do a administrative review.
Technically, my anniversary date is in July, but my contract for some reason says December.
Yeah. So I will be sending out some information and some questions as far as administrative review for Ashley. And then what we'll do is we'll have a closed session at our January meeting to discuss her performance, her wage, what we want, what we like, what we don't, what we dislike, so on and so forth. So I'll do that before the weekend. You guys will get some information from me on that, so keep an eye out for that. Administrator, clerk, treasurer's report.
So just a couple things. First thing I wanted to talk about is I know there were some incidences this weekend with like an aggressive dog in town. I've spoken with the individual a couple times, and I know our police department was heavily involved in it. We've been reviewing the ordinances, and I think out of respect we should send it to our committees because it's a little outdated. First of all, one of the things in our ordinance says that it needs to be, the dog needs to bite 2 times in order for our police to do anything. Well, if it's an aggressive dog and this attack was aggressive, now this individual is sitting there not knowing. I mean, we're lucky it wasn't a child and it wasn't any worse than what it was. So I do think it's important, and we've got a lot of stuff in there, but I feel like it's probably very outdated and it should be reviewed. So I'd like the public safety, I've talked to Steve about it too as well, to just review it, look over it. This individual knows there's probably not what we could do in her instance, but moving forward, at least we can maybe be a little bit more proactive when there is an aggressive dog in our community. So that would something that those of you that are on the public safety, please discuss. The other reason is I took the THC license off because the public safety was not able to meet in December or November. So I wanted you guys to have that discussion with Steve before we discussed any more about the THC. So that's taken off, but that's another thing I would like on that agenda as well. As far as the Deco Center goes, the Deco has been busy. swim lessons full force, volleyball full force, activities going on there. It's been busy, and we usually see it pretty busy in November, December, and January and February there. So awesome to see. Hate saying this out loud, but as of now, no breakdowns. You will see when we go talk about budget that I did add, or I would like to allocate an additional $16,000 into their long-term deco maintenance fund. That's coming from some of our funds that we're getting from our interests. Just because knowing the amount of equipment over there that's being looked at, including the hot tub, the furnaces, the brickwork, the windows, all of that, I wanted to allocate a little bit more money to it. So you will see that coming up. Public Works, knock on wood, we haven't been snow plowing. So they've done a lot of tree decorating. They've done a lot of tree trimming. There's been some bigger projects. River Co-op has been able to come in. Usually they don't get in December to do some underground work. So that's been on and off. We unfortunately don't always get notified as much time as we would like when that happens, and so, but the guys are going house to house, making sure that they notify everybody when it is happening. And then liquor store. So Jerry brought me some, we've talked about this in the past, her ice. So right now she's getting her ice from Ralph's. If you guys remember, her ice distributor will no longer distribute to the liquor store. And we've talked about what we should do. So currently she's getting her ice from the liquor store and she's storing it in the ice machine that is the distributor's. The distributor is coming to take that ice machine. So here is her options of what we could do. First of all, just to keep this in mind, this year, or in 2022, our profit for the year was $699 on ice. And our profit for the year in 2023 was $544 on ice. So we're not making a huge profit. I know it's a convenience of people. I do think part of the reason why it is going down is also now that, you know, Nick has that ice machine out there, makes it easy and convenient. So it's not a huge profit. So the decision to like buy equipment is really up to you guys. So she could continue what she's doing, getting the ice from Ralph's and buy a cooler, or like an ice chest cooler. She could get one from McCullum's over here for $989. So that would mean basically just to store enough. She'd have to probably make a weekly trip, more in the summer, obviously. We could get an ice machine for $15,637.
Oh,
Wow.
Pretty sure that's out. Otherwise, there are some other freezer chests we could do. So we could do a freezer chest and an ice machine from this other company here for $6,234 together. Or we could just do the freezer, like an actual commercial freezer, for $3,808. So essentially, I threw all of these out.
Or option E,
Nothing.
Not do ice.
we could just let a private business make $600 a year and move on.
So that's why I have the numbers of what she made in the last 2 years.
That's low.
Yeah, I mean, it's a convenience thing when you go get ice, but you're talking about $4 or $5 a bag. Well, our cost, so $5 a bag, our cost right now, I mean, in it, I guess she doesn't have the average, she only has the average cost of a bag is $5.19 in here. I don't have what she has the markup on it, but anyways.
How old is that? I mean, the distributor, they want that back? I mean, that must be been in there a while.
Yeah, it's their machine. So, they've left it there until I guess they can now send someone to get it or need it for somewhere. So, yeah, I personally don't think we need to do ice there.
I know, you
Give
think
them
it'd be
$100
worth.
so they don't have to come get it.
Exactly.
You know?
It'd be worth their time.
We were kind of hoping they would just leave it because it's actually been working out. Other than the labor that they have to go over to Ralph's and
Did you
make
offer
the
them
pallet.
anything for it, or would you, or is there any way to, I mean, like you said, is there a chance to buy it from them?
I don't know if she's asked that, but I could definitely ask her that.
Or, would you- I mean, I- you know, like I said, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave it
I
until they
mean-
come get it.
Cause where's the company out of?
I think they're out of Moorhead.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
Still.
I
don't know
you know,
when
they
hurt just to
stopped,
ask.
they stopped surveying us in like June.
I was gonna say it was like July. right?
Yeah,
So
cause it
a
was in the
summer.
middle of the summer, so they've left it
They're
for a
not
long
coming
time,
to it
but, I understand where Jerry's coming from and the convenience of it, when people are there, they grab a big ice, but, and yes, if we were to do a stand-up residential ice chest, it's $1,000, in 2 years we'd make it back. But you're talking about the maintenance and the space and where you're gonna put it and all the stuff that goes into it,
And paying for it.
I don't know.
Are you, I mean, would you be concerned of losing sales because of not having ice there? I mean, that's not, with, or what, I mean,
No.
it's, no, okay.
I would.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I would hate to say, I'd like to just leave it the way it is right now and see where they take that thing. They're not coming in the winter time to get that thing.
No,
Yeah.
no,
You guys
but
gotta
we're.
remember, it's not that big. You can wheel it out the door. I mean, they
Right.
can come get
But you're not
Yeah.
lifting it, I mean, you know what I mean? You're gonna
Put it
have
in
a
the back of
Tommy
your
lift
pickup?
and, you're gonna have
No,
Yeah,
no,
you
it's
can.
not that big, Sean. You can put it in the back of your
They,
pickup.
they tell her all the time they're coming to get it. They don't. I
It's been
get
since
that.
July and they haven't came yet, so. And now it's gonna be winter.
Okay.
Well, and that's fine. We'll keep utilizing it as long as we have it, but I guess Ashley's looking for clarification.
Do you need a
on what
motion?
What do you guys
Just
want
need
to
a
do?
recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been talking about this for months. My personal opinion is I don't think we need ice. But I also am a wine drinker and I don't need ice for my wine. So, you know,
There's plenty of businesses in town that sell ice that would put
Yeah,
the money.
you're right, I mean.
I just think even, and she'll never admit this, and it's great, but to go over there, they have to bring the forklift and haul the ice to us.
Oh.
Even that amount of labor and work that they have to do is a lot for something that we're not really making a big profit on. And we're talking about, you know, during the summer months.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
In
too.
October, we sold 9 bags.
I mean, we only need ice in Minnesota for 3 months.
Yeah.
The rest we can
Bags
put
of
on
ice.
site.
Wow, wow. Good point.
Well, and then, you know, Mike, your question, and Scott answered it, you know, are we gonna lose business? We are the only liquor store in town, so they can go to the grocery store, gas station, or
I don't
the-
think you'll lose
in
business.
mine.
I think just
Sure.
move ahead with what we're all kind of talking here.
Use it until they
Use
take
it till they take it, and once it's gone, it's gone.
Do, okay,
If you
so
wanna revisit it then, we can revisit it.
you guys wanna throw a number out there for Jerry just to call him tomorrow and say, hey, if you guys wanna leave it here, we'll pay X.
200
Knowing that
$200
a new one,
$200.
Or is that too much? I don't know.
I was thinking 100.
Start at 100.
I know, I was about to say,
Give her the opportunity to move the 200 off for 100.
$100 to $200.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, they
I mean, it's still.
They
I
probably
don't
gonna
think
take
they
it, but
will,
It's not
but-
gonna,
Because they're
this
cutting
thing's
them
not gonna
pieces.
break down in the next, I mean, it's still decent, right? It's-
Oh, yeah,
okay.
it's fine.
well, if
Sure.
it does, then we.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
they're
rid of it.
gone, right,
Then
yeah.
you come and get it,
Spring
yeah.
cleaning, right around
Yeah,
the corner.
I'd say that, let's do that.
Great.
Okay, and motion 200, second from Mike, all in
Yep.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Okay.
motion passes.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Okay, moving on to new business.
Hi, Brandon.
See you, Brandon. Thank you. Kaleidoscope guest.
I don't know why I had Josh, so,
He
that
probably
was
was on there before.
on there before.
Okay, who wants to join Sean on Thursday?
I haven't done it for a while, so.
Okay. There we go.
Sean, you want me to do it for you? You did mine, you covered me.
If you're available, go ahead. If you don't want to, yeah.
Get you
Either,
guys.
that's
I
completely
always
fine.
say I'm gonna be available. I
Yep.
should-
All right.
Text me if you can.
Yeah, I'll do that.
No.
I'll check my schedule, but I do owe you.
Leave me hanging.
Just fine, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go on record by saying I don't think we've ever had 2 volunteers.
No.
in the history of this thing. Ever.
I'm feeling Christmassy.
Apparently. All right, so Scott,
Feeling
Mike, Kaleidoscope,
Just wanna get
Thursday at 9. We already did our truth and taxation meeting. Letter C under new business. You guys have a letter in your packet for a donation request from Reach for the backpack program in the amount of $500. Good thing is, we have $550 left in our budget, or our account. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, a motion from Kim, second from Eric. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, let's talk levy. Absolutely, we can do 1%, Sean. Is that what you said?
No.
Oh. Okay. You guys got a big packet in front of you. Ashley's done a very detailed job of sending you out the two different options. Obviously, we set our preliminary budget at 5%. I am,
If you guys have this one too, this show the differences.
I am still strongly encouraging the 3%, even after tonight's 50-50 vote on the school resource officer, considering in the bottom of this email, Ashley points out the revenue differences from 23. Again, the interest gain just on the CDs and the sweep account in the amount of $80,000. We just started that account in
August.
August.
It was late summer.
August.
And
So-
obviously, the hope is to roll them again.
So
if they're
with
still
our
on.
sweep account, it's different than the CDs. So our sweep account stays there. The interest rates might like move a little bit as far as like up a little bit, down a little bit, but essentially instead of having 1.5 million in our checking, we have 250, and we put everything into the sweep, and so our bank account, when it goes below or above 250, it just automatically goes. So, meaning that we have the 1 million sitting in an account that's actually making some sort of
It's basically a
interest
money
versus just
market.
sitting in
It's
our
a money
checking.
market account is what it's in.
Yeah, but it automatically sweeps for us. But what I'm saying is it's not a CD. It doesn't give us
You're
you know, our other ones where we put the 1.4 million in Bank of the West is a 12-month CD. This is an ongoing thing. So we don't know if it'll go up or down. Right now it's sitting at 5.2, I think was the last. So we're making a really good chunk. In 3 months alone, we made over 40 grand in it. So, I mean, it's a huge thing for the city, which is awesome because if you look at previous years, our interest that we made in a year was $2,000. So this is huge for the city. Obviously, yes, we don't know what rates are gonna do, but we should always be making something in there because it's not gonna be sitting in a checking account anymore.
Well, it's a better use of the funds, but
Why not?
so to
Yes,
play devil's
but it'll
advocate-
never, when Steph cuts bills, I mean, it will sweep in, so we'll never overdraft either.
True.
Because when we cut at the end of the month, as you, saw the checks, like we were 400 and some, this month. So that's what it is. Now, obviously, I can't say it's always gonna make that much, but it's gonna be up there. Sorry, now go ahead. I don't remember what you were saying. I'm sorry. You said something.
I got nothing. You said it all. That was perfect.
Okay.
I will say this before Casey plays my role in devil's advocate. You know, kudos to Ashley in reaching out to the banks, you know, obviously that we do business with and finding these, because again, that is a ton of money that hopefully, by the vote of this council tonight, we won't have to increase the levy, because of the money that we're earning on these CDs, so. Casey?
Yeah, so call me hints, but here we are. I feel like I'm doing this all day tonight. So biggest thing, going back to those rates, obviously it's a huge influx into our money right now. What the Fed's gonna do, John talked about this earlier. We don't know if they can start cutting rates as the economy recovers. Great for certain things, not so great for this situation.
Right.
We as a council have also been very spend happy for a very long time, and it doesn't seem like that's slowing down at all, obviously what we just happened tonight here. So it's gonna be one thing where, you know, obviously we're trimming the belt where we can. It's getting harder and harder on the department heads. We're also adding, we just added a position here tonight now. Now if we didn't have this interest rate, we didn't have these CDs, we didn't have this account, all of a sudden this number looks a lot tougher to do. You look at the cities around us where they're at on their levies right now and they're playing catch up. We were in that boat not too long ago. We're getting to a better place, you know, health-wise with our fiscal accounts. But I don't want to start falling back behind as we start spending more and more and more every time at these meetings and get on the wrong side of things. So obviously we're on tight budget constraints already, and we're talking about $9,000 being the difference between 3 and 5. Yes, it sounds a lot better if you can say 3, but
It does.
So just to put it in perspective, Monoman's doing 12% and Twin Valley's doing 14%.
Okay. But we are not Monoman, and we're certainly not Twin Valley.
but we're also the county seat and we have to pay extra for things.
Not by your vote though, Casey, by the rest of the councils, if we're gonna get into that. I think everybody at this table has done a good job listening to constituents and thinking about the taxpayers first. I'll start with that. Second of all, we have been spending a lot of money lately. And it's not just the donation request, it's coming from the departments, from top to bottom. And I think every year we have this same discussion that we need to have those discussions with the department heads, and we need to try and think long term. We can't forecast stuff breaking at the deco. It happens. We can't forecast a skid steer, a loader going down, even though we can probably not spend as much money on it up front and just trade the damn thing in. I still, and again, it's up to this table, it's not up to me, I would still like to see 3%. Again, I know 9,000 isn't a lot of money, it's not. In the grand scheme of things, Ashley broke it down, it's a difference between $1.38 a month compared to $2.30 a month. That's where I'm at. We've heard from Casey and myself. I'd love to hear from everybody else, or get a motion, get the ball rolling. But I
do want to say one thing. So the LGA funds is obviously another big thing. We got $770,000 this year versus $694. That's not always a given. The one thing though I was told is the $75,000 that we will get for streets and transportation is coming in the next 5 years, at least, with the expectation to increase after that, because that is actually a tax. If you guys remember that. And then we got another $75,000 for public safety, if you remember, from LGA, but that's a one-time payment as well. Our long-term capital balance is at $830. That's low. And I do think that, you know, whatever we don't have to transfer from our electric into our general fund, whether that being the 9,000, and I'm not arguing your 3%, I'm just explaining something, you know, can go into our long-term capital so we can build it up. There's been a lot of talk, and Mike and I were just talking today about, you know, are we going to do Reiki 2? Well, we can't even look at Reiki 2 because we're going to need at least 1.5, 1.6 million to start with it. So we have 830,000. I know it's not going to get us very far. Deco maintenance balance 75,000. I mean, those maintenance funds are really small. And yes, I know we have spent a lot of things on equipment, but we need equipment to run the city. And unfortunately, we can't run the city if we don't have the loader, or if we don't have, you know, furnaces at the deco, or things like that. And so I really don't think that this council has been, I think you guys have really thought about what we need to purchase and what we don't need to purchase. But ultimately, since 2018, if you look back, we have purchased equipment every single year, and we're low. Like, cause 830 is low, guys.
Okay, so a couple things.
Sorry, that's just my. I know we're looking at the general fund, but
So
I'm worried about the long term.
That long-term capital typically should always be over $1 million. It's always been over $1 million since I've sat on this table. I agree 100%. With that being said, you guys bought a new loader this year. You guys bought a new cop car. You guys probably spent almost $250,000 just in department purchases in the last 3 months, let alone what you guys did the previous year. And again, I'm with Ashley. We need these items to move snow and to, you know, protect the community and do that. As far as Reiki 2 or any other big purchases, we can bond for it. We don't have to take it out of long-term capital. So we've never taken it out of long-term capital. So I would argue that a little bit.
I know, but the bond payment will come out of there.
Correct.
So if our bond payment is $120 a year, that's an additional $120 a year coming out of it.
With that being said, we've got those 2 bonds expiring.
In 2025, you're right.
In 2025, and we've talked at length in these meetings how I would strongly suggest you guys not going ahead and just spending. Just because you don't have a car payment doesn't mean you should go out and buy a new car, and that's coming from a car salesman. You know, just because you pay off your house doesn't mean you should go buy a new house. When we pay off a bond, I don't want you guys to go out and spend 30 million on a street project. Those are all things that this table, I think you guys have done a good job of discussing and having conversations about. If you pull up the big page that Ashley sent out to you guys as far as the changes from the preliminary budget. If you go halfway down the page, I just want to go right to the surplus. The revenue surplus with and without the resource officer. Since you guys approved the resource officer tonight, those numbers are 194, 213, and 5% is 201,952.
That's
Or
without.
excuse me,
That's
go to
without,
line above.
Yeah.
149 and 306. That's still a surplus.
I really think 3% could work. I don't, $9 grand for a grand scheme of it, that's not a lot of money. We've been trying to get it lower and lower for years now, ever since I've been on here. I think we do really need to have a conversation about where we're building houses the next year, though. That has to be a very, very strong topic. We're out, so we gotta figure out something, where they're gonna go. I'll tell you right now, I don't think Raggy 2 is the way to go, but we can talk about that later. So, but the 9344, that's nothing in a city budget.
Both ways. Again, devil's advocate both ways.
I'm gonna make the motion right now for the 3%.
Okay. I got a motion from Sean for a 3% levy. Do I have a second? Okay, I have a second from Scott Erickson.
Yeah.
Discussion.
So
Because
I'll
we should have some.
just go on the record of it. I'm not opposed to the 3% levy. It's the principle of it, just like it's the principle of the resource officer comes back to.
Exactly.
It's the principle to the taxpayer and to what we're doing fiscally for the city that you got to take a stand on at a certain point. And yes, if you look around at the other municipalities around us, yes, we're very attractive. You know, if we look back over the last 5-10 years where our levy has been, you know, taken
It
into
hasn't been
consideration.
above 5.
It hasn't been above 5.
It doesn't.
We're not at the 17s. We're not at a 20. You know, obviously we're sitting good that way. It's just we're looking at projects, we're looking at housing, we're looking at a lot of stuff in the deco right now. Everything unforeseen. We've had a very good influx and blessing with that COVID money that really floated us through for a long time. That's not coming back anytime soon, hopefully. Whichever way you look at it, never mind. You know what I mean? But it's just at some point there's a. Like I said, I'm not opposed to the 3%. The 3% is great. It's what we all shoot for. We're always looking, you know, we don't want to tax the tax base any more than we have to.
Yep.
We also have to look out for what's fiscally right going forward.
I guess I'd like to chime in on that a little bit too. I mean, I sat out in the galley as a department head for many years when the tax increases, the levy increases were 1%, 1%. 0%. And we ended up going down, and then eventually we got the capital outlay fund going, and that built that back up. And so, you know, when I look at this, you're absolutely right as far as the only $9,000 difference one way or the other. My concern is if we're just looking optics, if it looks good, or if it's actually something that's a benefit, you know. And $9,000, yeah, I get it. I don't want to. I struggle a little bit with the idea that we want to keep it at 3%. Cost of living. We also got to think fiscally responsible cost of living for the city to be purchasing stuff as we go on in the future. So I'm not opposed to 3% either. I just don't want to get into a mindset of, are we going to continually do 3% no matter what, because it looks good, sounds good, feels good, and we get into something like that in the future.
I'd say it only sounds good. I don't know if it's the right thing to do in this day and age, but yeah, same thing. I'm okay with it. I mean, the way it sounds, but I agree. I don't think it's, you know, we have to be careful with that 3%.
Yeah. You know, just hearing the discussion, I'm going to go ahead and make the motion to amend the 3 to the 5 and put that on the table.
Technically,
You got to vote on the motion to amend.
okay. Well, I got a motion,
Need a
but
second
Sean
first.
made the original motion. So I got a motion from Casey to amend original motion. Do I have a second to change the 3 to a 5?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion from Casey and a second from Kim to change it from 3 to 5.
I'd just like to say, I really think we messed up on that resource officer. We could have, that $9,000 we would have had right there. I think the school should have paid for more, personally. I think they're gonna be out there more, but it is what it's done now, but,
Yeah, definitely.
it is what it is. If we're squabbling over that.
Partly pro would be, so the motion's on the table.
No, I was something else.
Okay.
Unless you know, I've never been a part of it. So.
Yeah, it was part of it the first time, but it was
How did that work?
We'll deal with it tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, so I got a motion from Casey and a second from Kim, just to add to further discussion. I want the table to remember, and again, Ashley and I can only do so much up here. We're interjecting conversation with this table. We don't have a vote, but we also need to make it aware for the council and for the community to know our options. When we talk about the 3 and 5% increase, we're talking year over year, obviously, our budget from last year to this year. When we're talking neighboring cities doing 12 and 17%, I'd bet money that if you look, yes, they're increasing their levy that percent, but if you're looking based just on the tax dollar on a $100,000 home, I guarantee we're still higher. And I bet you Ashley can look it up real quick.
I can't real quick.
Oh.
I can look it up, but I can't real quick.
So it's not, and again, I stress and
I will agree with that statement on yours. We have higher value homes in our community than some of our neighboring communities.
That-
I will agree with that. But when we're giving those levy increases, it still doesn't mean that that individual who's in that home in their tax bracket, for them, that's still a huge increase.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's what two more things, then I'm done, you guys can talk and we can get out of here. Again, I just wanna stress that we're not trying to be Monoman, we're not trying to be Twin Valley, we're not trying to be anyone else, we're trying to be Ada, we're trying to do our best job as council members and mayor and city administrator for the city of Ada and the taxpayers. With that being said, my last item, $9,000 isn't gonna pay for a new payloader. It barely pays for a little over an eighth of the new squad car you guys just purchased.
That squad car
It
money,
pays
that
for
squad car money
the
was
sick
from
leave
the.
costs for the part-time employees that we had to add over to there.
Yeah, pays for the difference in what we just did with the 50/50.
What if I told,
Squad
go
car
ahead.
came from that,
I'll figure
money.
it out. I'll figure it out
Okay.
tomorrow. Just go ahead.
okay, so, just so we're all on the same record, I am gonna veto that vote tomorrow. As mayor, I do have that option to veto the 50-50 split for the school resource officer. Not because I don't think it's necessary, because I strongly believe it is, but because I think that the school can put in a bigger portion than the city of Ada. And I'm privy to some knowledge that you guys were not. So I will, if that makes a difference on tonight's levy, I would strongly encourage you guys to consider that.
I just don't know the steps of it. You know, I've never been a part of it.
Lots of firsts. I don't think we've been
That's
offended.
honest,
I've been on
honest out
Never had-
there.
that's what I've been on.
I've never, so.
So,
Well,
discussion.
yeah, I got a question on the veto thing, then is the school okay with what you just said now? I mean, do you think they're gonna be able to go forward with whatever you wanna propose then?
The discussion is for a higher,
Yeah, I understand that,
difference.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. You still wanna hire one.
And the way it works, the way it worked the first time, again, the only time I've been on council when this has happened, the mayor vetoed a decision by the rest of the council. We had a special session, so we will have a special session next week. This will be the only item on the agenda. And it still takes a 4-3 override, so 3 of you would still have to change your mind to switch it to a different amount. So,
And I'm still not gonna vote.
and Sean still doesn't vote, but it still takes 3 more of you, other than
Yeah.
Casey, so.
Well, I guess, I mean, that would've been, I guess maybe we should've asked him if what he could've afforded to do or wanted to do, or that'd have been
No.
a better
I think
idea,
that was-
or not?
I think that was out there.
That's
I mean,
kind of the point on their part. That his best interest for the school is not to pay as much.
Oh, yeah,
You know, he's not
well,
gonna
anybody
come out and
is,
say
right.
that negotiating.
But now, obviously, Mr. Hager there, Police Officer Hager said, you know, he recommended the 50-50, so. Now, again, I don't, yeah, right, obviously, you know the numbers better than he would, or we do, but, you know.
Let's get realistic. After that first year, we are really gonna know how much he's out there or how much he's somewhere
Well, and
else.
that's why I think,
Exactly.
that's
That
why
is-
he
that is
recommended
gonna
the
tell
half
the
and half
tale.
right now,
Exactly.
so.
I think this is gonna keep
If-
the ball rolling.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know if it's worth it or not to do that, but, I mean, I guess you're welcome to do that, but.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, I'm just saying.
Yep. I think there at least needs to be a conversation, and it's not something that, we're not just gonna hire someone tomorrow anyway. And again, if the council so chooses to keep the same 50-50, that is your guys' vote, and that's your guys' decision.
But no, you're right, if it's something that can work different, I'm fair for that too,
Yeah.
you bet.
So I don't know if that changes the levy discussion, which is what we were discussing.
So I'm gonna leave the motion to amend on the table just to see the vote, and then we'll go forward. If that works. So I'm
Okay.
gonna call the question.
So we're gonna vote on the amendment?
So we're gonna vote on the amendment to change it from 3 to 5%. I got a motion from Casey and a second from Kim. Again, in the 5% levy, by roll call vote. Mike?
So this is on the voting for the 5%, right?
Yep.
So nay.
Scott Erickson? Eric?
Nay.
Scott?
Nay.
Sean?
Nay.
Casey?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Okay. So, get a 2 to 5, obviously, I need a new motion.
Can I still make it?
Yep.
I'll still make that.
What you did
3%
Okay,
levy.
I got a 3% levy motion from
Should be
Sean.
right.
It's still on the table, you don't need another
I
motion.
can second that.
Okay, and from Eric. We'll do that again by roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Scott? Eric?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Casey?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Okay. City approves a 3% levy. That was resolution.
Yeah,
Yep, that was
okay.
resolution 2023-12-01.
You put in the minutes, the mayor got his Christmas present, so.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Last time.
Yeah, really.
Last
Back
time.
up.
That's what they said last time.
I will try and return the favor at next week's special council meeting. How about that?
Sounds good, yeah.
All right, moving on to resolution 2023-12-02, the final budget adoption for 2024 at 3%.
Okay, so if you guys have noticed, that's really the only revenue change at 3% is the property taxes, obviously, up on top. You can see everything else is the same. I did not substitute the revenue just because we already have a high surplus. The only other difference is in the expenditures is obviously the school resource officer, the sick leave costs that was just put into each department based on how many they have. So police officer would be on page 2, and then you can see the other highlights of where the sick leave comes into place. And then the last thing, like I mentioned earlier, is in our revenue from the interest gained in CDs. We did talk about this in the preliminary budget discussion, but I did move. So we split it between general fund and long-term cap. I did take 16,000 out and put it in the Deco Center maintenance fund. Obviously, you guys can reject that if you want, but I do feel like Brianna's working, and it's very hard to get quotes and bids and all this stuff on all this equipment she has right now so close to the end of the year. But I do feel like if we want to keep that Deco Center running, we're going to need, so furnaces, for example, she needs 2 of them. They're over $9,000 a piece. That's kind of what I was putting in there as 16 grand.
Didn't we approve that like
We
3
approved
years
it
ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
But what happened was we had to use it for a condenser because the furnaces were holding out and the condenser was going, and so
Okay.
we swapped it.
I just
So they
remember
never
that.
got, but technically there's 8 furnaces over there,
Oh.
and we've replaced 6 out of the 8, so there's still 2 left.
Okay.
So over time, we have replaced them. Otherwise, I did mention in the preliminary budget, there's things like the brickwork outside, the tuck pointing needs to be done, things like that don't seem like that big of a deal, but when you get into it and look at it, like that building is fading away. So I put the 60 grand there. If you'd like me to put it back into long-term cap,
Okay, that's where you took it
I
from.
could do it. It's not from long-term cap, it's from the interest that I had put into long-term cap. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not taking it out of what's currently long-term. I'm just splitting that 80 grand into different categories. Other than that, all the small changes that we had talked about in the preliminary budget or change, you guys have it in front of you. I sent it out a couple weeks ago, so, or at least 2 weeks ago, if you guys have any questions on it.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, and a motion from Casey.
Second.
Second from Sean for the resolution 2023-12-02 by roll call vote. Mike?
Aye.
Scott? Eric?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Casey?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Resolution 2023-12-02 passes. Okay, moving on to committee updates, Public Works.
So we didn't have a quorum, just getting ready for winter, so it's nothing much on that end right now. We obviously don't have any snow, so we're getting other stuff done.
Okay, Public Safety, I know didn't meet.
We did not meet, yeah.
Beautification?
We kinda went over just, they wanted some ideas for maybe some, the purchases out of the money that were kinda allocated every year, so we just kinda chatted about that a little bit. I know one part of it was about, at the baseball diamonds there, the
Bathrooms?
concession stand and bathrooms and stuff, maybe looking at kind of fixing them up or something, I don't know, I mean, that was one thing.
Comment that we thought they should substitute the restaurant rooms out there. We just talked about it.
Yeah, maybe doing a few modifications on them to see those in the bathrooms. Yeah, nothing too major. They went over the signs for the cemetery, things like that, so I think they got approved and that'll be done. Perfect.
EDA?
We didn't meet.
We didn't meet
We
either.
didn't meet, no, because of the holiday week. Are we gonna meet, this year, or this month?
We have something on the
We have
agenda.
something on the
Okay.
agenda. I did send you guys an update last week, if you got that.
Right,
Yep.
got that, so, yeah.
Okay, before we adjourn, I just wanna say I appreciate the conversation tonight. I think the community does too, so thank you guys. I need a motion to adjourn. Okay, a motion from Eric.
Second.
Second from Casey, all in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.